fépp lay fay.
sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jah Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jah Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances. Not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap, all in one, all for you. Tap in, zap in.
It's Tuesday, the 2nd of December 2025. It's 9 years since Adama Barrow was declared the official winner of the 2016 presidential election, dislodging 22 years of Yahya Abdul Aziz, Jamus Junkung, etc., Jammeh. And we have with us the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Seedy Keita, not because of the anniversary, but because in 3 days' time, he'll be delivering the 2026 budget in the National Assembly. A budget that has been described by critics as an election budget designed to win votes rather than address citizens' priorities. So how is this not an election budget?
Well, let me just show you right there. I told you we're investing 35% of the budget in human capital formation. That has nothing to do with election. I think the role of government is to improve the life and livelihood of citizens. So if you have a government that is investing 35% of its national resources into the very human capital of that country, you can call that politics. Actually, what is politics if it is not to advance the well-being of citizens? I think the citizens have elected His Excellency the President on the backdrop that he will fulfill their aims and aspirations. And that is what he set out to do. And delivering a budget that will strengthen that mandate, I don't call that political. I see it as an investment in the overall well-being of the country. And don't forget, this budget continues to support every aspect of the economy that is vulnerable. For example, if you look at our energy tariff, it's not still cost reflective. Government has allocated $1 billion to subsidize.
Consumers are still paying way below what they should
the
have
cost
been
structure of the energy cost is not reflective in the tariff. The tariff that NAWEC is charging is below the cost structure. So government has allocated $1 billion in this budget, and we have allocated $1 billion in the previous year's budget to continue to subsidize the energy sector, simply to dampen the impact of the tariff on the citizens. So I don't know how more can that be political, because we did this in a year when there was no election. That was 2024 and 2025. So if you look at the investment we're doing in the energy sector, today the energy access is about 75% of the country. And this has unleashed the
Will we get to the 90%, which is...
we are on course. We are on course.
Wish of the president.
And yes, we are on course, and this budget has factored that in. We have factored in the prioritization of the access to energy for every Gambian. Maybe 2026, we will cross the 90%, and we are on course with the support of some of the partners. We are a participant in the M300, which is to generate universal access. So we are on course. So these are what I'm explaining as people-centered budget. And if you have a government and a leadership that is so focused on well-being of the citizens, I don't call that political. If you look at the agricultural sector, for every bag of fertilizer farmers buy, more than 50% is subsidized. If you look at the crop financing, the price we have quoted is 38,000 per metric ton. The market price that government can be able to sell is 20. That means $18,000 per ton is a subsidy to the farmers.
I need you to spend time on this because
so
this is.
I'm just explaining.
Yeah.
Again, this is all money going into the pockets of citizens, just to support their life and livelihood.
So you're buying at 38,000. You can only at best sell at 20,000. Yet you're being criticized for offering 38,000 for the third year in a row.
Yes, because if you look at it, this 18,000 per metric ton is the form of subsidy.
Okay.
So is fiscal responsibility here? Do you continue? And we are also subsidizing the energy sector. We are subsidizing the fertilizer. If we look at, output price, that is 38, 3 years in a row. How about the input subsidy? For every bag of fertilizer, 50% of the price was in the form of a subsidy. So total allocation to that sector in the form of subsidy for only groundnut is half of a bag of fertilizer plus the $18,000 per metric ton. So that's quite an investment into the sector. So I really, if you look at 38,000, it has been kept the same.
For the past 3 seasons.
Yes, because if you want to pay more, that means you have to increase your subsidy. If you suppose, let me just give you the number. It was 38. If we make it 40,
yes,
that means now you will have to subsidize 50% of every ton. Your subsidy will no longer be 18, but it will be 20 out of 40.
Yeah, but aren't we getting more dalasi for the dollar, that we sell the ground
No.
for?
The 20,000 I'm talking about is the dalasi equivalent in terms of the pricing.
It can't be always 20,000 because the dollar is always rising over the dalasi.
Okay.
So what you got in 2023 could not have been the same as what you got in 2024, could not have been the same
but
as what you got in 2025.
That assumes the price was constant in dollars, which is not the case. Don't forget. Yeah,
there are years when you sell lower.
Yes, this is, these are international commodity prices. Just like any commodity price.
I thought every year,
No. It depends. It depends. It depends on the supply and demand.
If you sell for $10 this year, maybe
it
next
depends
year
on supply and demand.
$11 or $12.
And also, one thing we have to realize is sometimes it depends on the quality of your crop.
True.
So if you don't have the first grade,
there was a particular year when
exactly
when
so
the knot was very light.
Not only light, but also we tend to have this issue of aflatoxin that has not opened the groundnut market to us as a country. So even though if you go on international publication, you may see groundnut being priced at A, which you could think that Gambians should have been able to sell it at that, but no, our grading is different. It depends. So it's a complex. That's the whole business of GGC. They go out there, try to get the best price for us in foreign currency, but this is how it's coming out. So I hope it's clear. So because some people may just go on Google and see what is the price of a ton of groundnut globally, and then they say, why are we not getting this?
But there's been all sorts of commentaries.
I think
including on West Coast Radio about this year's.
People should really this government.
Price for groundnut.
This is well thought out. We have to be fiscally responsible, and we are going to continue to support the agricultural sector with various inputs.
No, nobody's questioning you're
then,
supporting. They're saying you're not supporting them enough.
No, but I'm telling you, you have 50% subsidy in the input in the form of fertilizer.
Can't it be 60? Can't it be 75?
But it's okay. If for now, I'll put it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to increase our subsidy, then we'll automatically increase our debt stock because we can't fund it. And if you don't fund it from your own resources, the implication physically means you borrow to fund. And we want to allocate resources where we believe the greatest impact will be there.
On this issue of funding the budget,
yes,
it projects 59.4 billion in revenue with 97.5% expected from grants. Is this not unsustainable dependency?
No, I mean, you see, Gambia is not unique to as the only country that is a recipient of the grants. Any grant you see in the budget, we would have discussed with the partners and farm it up, because a budget is.
Seedy.
Yes.
We had a discussion with partners.
Yes.
You remember when President Barrow went to this round table in Brussels?
Yes.
They sat with partners. They had discussions. They came to, agreement in principle of, support amounting to what? 1.4 billion?
Oh, okay.
To this day, we hear that
no.
That a fraction.
I think that's.
You were not in government then.
No, but that's a different conversation. When you go to a pledging session,
yes,
that's totally different from when you go into a conversation with partners
regarding
for
budget. Oh, okay.
Budget is more concrete. Pledging session is high level, contingent on a lot of conditions that might or might not be realized. So the two are not the same.
Okay.
So let's be very clear. In a pledging session, you can go, any partner or any institution can come and say, allocate 100 million to you. But it's only when you go to the granular details to assess whether the conditions attached to that 100 have been fulfilled, or even the type of funding or intervention of that partner is acceptable to you. I mean, the money is out there. Mm-hmm. But is it at the right price for you? So if you go to a pledging session, anybody can come to the table and say, we're ready in your development, we'll give you A, B, C, D, but what does it take to transform that into a real
Okay, so going
allocation?
back to, funding the budget, the 2025 budget, for instance, did you get every cent that was promised you in the form of grants?
Yes. In fact, as we speak, these grants do take time, but we have already received confirmation. In fact, we will thank the World Bank Group particularly because they have seen the reforms of this government, and it has given huge confidence to them. What we have put in the budget for the budget support from the World Bank was $20 million. But when we did reforms, and these partners are very happy with it, in fact, the World Bank increased our allocation.
Oh, it did.
From 20 million to 45 million. And this,
More than 100%.
Yes. Why? Because the government has taken the bold reform initiative to now terminate the PPP arrangement of car power. And all the areas associated with that, the bank has taken upon themselves to pay. So that is about that. So basically, that's one. We have met the conditions required for the EU support. Likely we'll hear from them before the end of the year. And our IMF program is on course. They too are going to the board in this December. So that is how these partner grant supports are evaluated. You don't put anything in the budget that are grant without you being sure. That's mainly yes.
I have heard people suggest that car power, well, the arrangement with the floating power production unit may have come to an end, but they were moving from the river, the sea, the ocean inland. That they will still be producing power and selling to NAWEC.
Well, I think our energy market is very open market based.
Okay, so Car Power
Is-
continues to work
No,
with the
they
Gambia.
have not contracted any supply of energy to NAWEC so far.
But the possibility exists. If they were
Of course, when NAWEC wants, because don't forget, the model that NAWEC is working on is independent power producers. And that means if you have the energy technology,
which Car Power has.
yes, and you have the financial power, you can put up a power plant, you can agree with NAWEC on the financing, on the arrangement of take-or-pay contract, and the pricing can be acceptable. It will be floated in the open market, and the best bidder will take it.
Okay.
As we speak, that's
So
what's
nobody
happening.
should be surprised if they hear that Car
No,
Power is producing and
look,
selling to NAWEC.
we are not
again.
against any individual company.
Okay.
What we have an open door market-based economy, and if NAWEC floats the procurement for independent power producer, and Car Power happen to be the winner, they are not blacklisted. They are as good a company to continue to do business with the government or NAWEC, as so long as the commercial terms are acceptable to both parties.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks for clarifying
Yes,
that.
yes.
You've promised reforms and tighter spending control. What concrete measures will Gambians see in 2026?
Yes, we're very pleased about the reforms we have embarked on. We have done reforms across diverse sectors of the economy. From the state-owned enterprises, the SOE Commission is up and running.
I think we should applaud them. I mean,
Yes, they've done a very good job.
we're already feeling the impact of their work. Absolutely.
Yes, this is an important reform.
Yeah.
These enterprises used to be a fiscal drag. By that I mean a financial challenge to government.
We understand.
We have, as we speak this year, our total assets of the SOE is about 39 billion. And we are just lucky this year we have realized $100 million in dividend from the Ports Authority. But prior to that, it was, in fact, government had to bail out a number of SOEs. With the coming on board of the SOE reform, today the combined losses of the SOEs have reduced by more than 50% from last year. So that's a substantial increase of performance. Then we also have introduced the procurement reform. We have enacted a new Gambia Public Procurement Authority Act that has made procurement more open, competitive, and we are seeing early signs of success there. Then we come to the digitalization space. And this is one of the singular most prominent reforms that every Gambian can identify. Look at the GRA. I'm telling you, revenue growth of 115% in less than 5 years, from 2022 to 2025. In a space of 3 years, 115%. This was not made possible by brute force. It was made possible through digitalization, introduction of technology into government operations. The customs area, we have the Ascuda wall. Now, I mean, you can clear your goods from anywhere. And it brings predictability, ease of doing business, accessibility. We have the fuel marking. Before, we were at the mercy of the fuel suppliers. They come and say, I supplied X liters. Now, with the coming on board of this technology, we know to the liter how much fuel has been sold. And since the introduction of this technology, revenue for the sector has increased from about 250 million to more than 450 million monthly. And we have digital stamps as well. This has brought in, the digital stamps you see on the bottle tops.
Yes.
This has given certainty to the GRA as to how much those quantities are sold.
Are you surprised at the quick acceptance level? Because when it was just introduced,
Yes.
I mean, you can
any change.
you can remember the furore over.
Yeah, human nature is averse to change, and the only constant in life is change. So I think we thank the GRA management and the entire leadership of the government for onboarding the entire population through sensitization. And now it's business as usual. And it brings in predictability. It brings in certainty of doing business. The patent rights of suppliers are respected now. When you're buying a stuff with a digital stamp, you know the quality, you know it's authentic, you know it is not something that has been illicitly smuggled into the country. And we have the weigh bridge at the ports before bulk commodities at the self-declaration of the importer. Today, with the weigh bridge, we know for certain the tonnage of each bulk commodity that comes into country. The single window, before you have custom officers that will physically escort. Now with the single window and the e-tracking, all you do is put a device on the vehicle and it will show the GRA from border until destination. So these are all reforms that we have done on the customs area, and we are not resting on our laurels. We are working on the integrated tax administration system for the domestic taxes.
There's one system that was introduced amid, stiff resistance that I haven't heard you mention. You talked about the e-tracking. There was also an attempt to track the containers entering into the country,
That's cargo tracking,
yes.
That's another reform that's ongoing. And
we've not heard much about it.
It was
fiercely resisted by
I think
the
so.
business community.
We were aware of it, but I think government is determined to continue the reform agenda. And sometimes the reform you cannot just impose it on the population, because
the digital excise was imposed on businesses.
But it's not an imposition. It brings in credibility. I think with all these results, now confidence is being restored. So it helps us in our future reforms, because every reform is objective driven. We're not just imposing the reforms simply to make life harder for people. Look, we are not the only country in the world. If you go to the West, these are things that nobody talk about. So if we want to develop, we also have to onboard the same type of approach. And it has a huge impact on certainty of transactions, because before, without these systems, there was a lot of manual interchange, and we all know what that means. So it has reduced the scope for those type of illicit transactions. So we're very pleased with that. And the domestic tax reforms are also coming along, from corporation tax to income tax. And we have just signed also the electronic invoicing. As we know that supermarkets and vatable goods, the invoicing system is still self-declaratory, but with the coming on board of e-invoicing, electronic invoicing, there'll be predictability and certainty of the turnover of those transactions. And the rental system is also being digitalized. GRA has a fair idea of which properties are under rent and for how much that they've been rented for, and the associated tax with it. So you'll see the significant outperformance of revenue of GRA is on the backdrop of these reforms. And we're not just stopping there. We're looking at all sectors. It's just that it's the front line of the reform. We'll be doing reforms across all sectors, from education to health to every aspect of the economy. Yes.
Tax increases, it seems, are a major feature of this budget. So how do you balance revenue mobilization with the burden on households and businesses?
In fact, I think this is one important thing. It's not correct that there's any tax increase in this budget.
Or there isn't?
Reforms. So far, let me just land. What we've done, we've not increased corporation tax. We've not increased value-added tax. We've not increased pay-as-you-earn income tax of staff. But certainly other, what they call sin taxes, will be there to discourage issues like gambling, alcohol, cigarettes.
Are these new taxes, or are you raising them?
No. I mean, we have not introduced, these sin taxes will definitely be increased. Certainly, I can say that upfront.
Yeah, so tax
and the whole
are a feature of the budget.
That not. I'm telling you, the key out of the almost 95% of the tax base, there's no increase. This sin tax is related to less than 5% of the tax, and the objective is not just fiscal here to get more money, is to nudge the population to move away from those. As we all know, the impact of gambling on the citizenry. So one way to...
Why don't you just ban,
Well,
gambling, as Yahya Jammeh tried to do?
No, I think that, you see, it didn't succeed. So, human behavior is you allow people to be free, but you nudge them to things that you think, and this one way of government telling you don't do it. But even if you do it, it's at your own cost, like cigarette smoking. We know it's not good, but you can't stop it. Even if you attempt to.
Alcohol consumption?
Well, so those are some of the things. So, in fact, if you look at last year, we look at those taxes that affect the greatest population. The pay as you earn. We've done an important reform there. Last year, we introduced that tax reform. Prior to last year, your first 24,000 was tax-free. Last year, we increased that threshold from 24,000 to 36,000. So that means anybody earning less than $3,000 per month is getting that income tax-free. So technically, we've given 12,000 additional tax-free income to every citizen in this country. So even if you apply a basic rate of 25% to that 12,000, it means 3,000 additional money in the pockets of every citizen. So this is not even a tax increase, but this is a tax reduction effectively as far as income tax is concerned. So the performance of the revenue collection is not on the backdrop of increase in taxation rate, but is in the enhanced compliance and policy reforms. So this is what's happening. If we had increased taxes, we would have far outperformed our revenue as we done this. But all of these growth that I have been mentioning were on the backdrop of reforms and expanding the tax base and enhancing compliance.
Speaking of expanding the tax base,
yes.
I mean, what strategies are in place, to keep expanding?
Yeah, what we are trying to do is to ensure that transactions that should fall under the tax radar do indeed fall. So, for example, we have now reformed our duty waiver process, that if you want to benefit from a tax system in the form of a waiver, you must first be seen to have been compliant with that system. So today, if West Coast apply for a duty waiver, there is a checklist.
We tried several times before.
No,
we have never been successful.
Well,
with tax
there are conditions according to the law. What we will do is, okay, are you compliant with your pay as you earn? Are you compliant with your corporation tax as checklist? If yes, then we look at your application. If no, then we say, why are you not? GRA, can you look at that file and say why compliance is not there? Well, so these are some of the.
We have ticked both boxes.
You have
because for years we've been
I'm just
giving prizes
but
at the.
As a result of this reform, we have identified a number of participants in the economic system that were not on the tax radar that have now fallen into the tax radar.
Okay.
So that's one way of
because that's what the question sought to find out.
Yes.
What new strategies?
That's just
expand the tax base beyond the usual.
That's
sectors.
it. Because that's it. And we have given a very thorough review of the tax laws to enhance compliance. Going forward, we have instances where companies or pay-as-you-earn corporations, like if you deduct income tax from your staff and you're supposed to remit that money to the GRA, you should not just remit the fiscal amount of money. That money should be accompanied with a schedule of the payroll of your institution so that GRA can independently verify that, yes, you have remitted 3,000 in the form of pay-as-you-earn for your staff, and your staff role says this, and their wage bills identify that indeed they should pay the 3,000. So these are some of the reforms that we'll be unleashing in the near future.